All right, I think I am live with you guys. Yeah, seems everything is up and running. So, my name is Ivan. I don't know if you know me already. I am the founder of Reclaiming a Throne, and today I'm going to speak about something that has been coming up a lot in my field lately. It is something that has been a big thing in my own life, and I see it as a total pandemic with men across the world. It is the challenge of being a nice guy. And this term seems innocuous enough until you really start to grok the utter chaos that can unfold and just be unleashed in our lives when we abide by these kind of nice guy behaviors. And I'm not going to present any kind of exhaustive list today. There's just 7 things that I've observed that I think you will recognize from your own lives if you're a man watching this and you're a little bit challenged with being assertive, you're a little bit challenged with conflict, you're a little bit challenged with seeing the possibility that you may have a capacity for destruction, violence, even evil. These are the kinds of men that I often work with. You may be one of them. I was. So just buckle up. I'm going to spend, I don't know, we'll see how long I go, 15, 20 minutes. See if I find my groove with you guys. Just ask questions in the comments if there should be anything that comes up for you guys. I think it should be working here inside a StreamYard that I'm using. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is dissociation. Because when we are nice guys, typically there is a level of unease with our embodiment, our lower energy centers, if you will, if you're going to use that kind of language. There is a ferocity, there's a power, there's an instinct that lives further down than the heart, where nice guys don't want to go, see? And because there is this level of unease with my nature, with being a man, with having capacity for destruction, having the blood of hunters, millennia of hunters and warriors running in our veins, we want to dissociate. And so nice guys move up into crystal towers of a dissociation. And you sit there. You sit there, lonely, and you observe the world from a safe distance. Yeah, you observe the world from a safe distance. Up here. This is why you pop up into your head. Because you're not comfortable with the instincts that run deep in your veins, in your genes, in the very nature of who you are, the essence of being male. Any commentary that is also relevant for women is not what I'm covering today. I'm speaking about men and the masculine. So if you're a masculine woman, maybe this applies to you, but I'm speaking specifically now to men, males. So you may notice then that in a moment of conflict, in a moment that there is a level of intensity, your body freezes and you pop up. Because you want to be nice, polite, well-behaved, pleasing to mama. And so you pop up. You pop up and you freeze. And there the world plays out in whatever way it wants. And you do nothing. You probably know what I'm talking about. The second thing that I want to speak about today is grandiosity. You probably know this word, but if you don't, like this idea that you become more than what you actually genuinely are. You hold a self-image, a self-concept that you haven't deserved. There is no achievements in your life that match with your self-image. Almost all nice guys are grandiose as fuck. Like grandiose as fuck. Why? Why? Because you don't have achievements in your life. Because you're not proud of them. You haven't been true to what lives within you, and you know it. You know it. You fucking know it. And so as a result, because I haven't stepped up to the challenge, I haven't leaned into life, I haven't said the things that I wanted to say in the moment that I wanted to say them. You know what that's like. You blow up internally and you become this big creature. I should have told him, I should have told her, and I should have showed them. You become bigger than what you are to compensate for your actual smallness. And as a result, you become deluded. You lose connection with reality. I did this for so long. This was my 20s, where I wanted to be an enlightened man. I was a boy. I wasn't comfortable with my instincts. I became grandiose. The next Buddha, maybe. It was bullshit. Number 3, depression and anxiety. And in that same package, a fierce inner critic. A fierce inner critic. You're a piece of shit. You're a good for nothing. Everyone disrespects you, whatever it is. And you will find as a nice guy that inner critic coexists with this inflated sense of self that we just spoke about. Because I'm not comfortable with my power as a nice guy, see? And when I don't feel comfortable with my power, the world feels scary. And so I become anxious. And as a result of being anxious, I become depressed because I'm not doing the things that live in my heart and soul. I'm not doing the very things that I'm here to do. And I know that I'm betraying myself. And so I'm numbing. I'm numbing. And that makes me depressed. And the inner critic has a fucking field day. It's devastating. It hurts. It's only because you're a nice guy that it's happening. Only because you're a nice guy. Number 4, violence and abuse. And this is the price that we men pay for being a nice guy that so few acknowledge fully. Because our culture is stupid, it's ignorant, and it doesn't understand what a man needs to mature, which is to learn healthy ways with power so that we can feel dignity, so that we can feel grounding, so that we can feel that we have something to offer to culture, to our loved ones, to ourselves, to our children. How many fathers are struggling because they don't feel powerful? How many fathers are abusing their children because they're not powerful? Pick any mass shooting that's been covered in the media over the last several decades, and you will find a disempowered male that just wanted to be nice, and I couldn't make it work. Couldn't make it work. Had nobody around him telling him what it actually takes to become a healthy, safe, grounded, and powerful man. And this is something that bothers me a lot, because when I see a man who hasn't reckoned with his own capacity for violence and darkness and destruction and even evil, I know I am in the presence of a ticking time bomb. And all that is required to set him off is the right, or shall we say, wrong circumstances. Then he blows up like a fucking grenade. And so many men are afraid of this. You may be one of them, that you intuit that were you to actually open up to your power, you're going to hurt people. Sure enough, that may actually happen, but that's why you bring it into a space that is contained and safe to train. This is why people do martial arts. This is why people do trainings like Reclaiming a Throne. This is why people have men's groups. This is why men have containers of unleashing aggression. But if you don't go all the way down, like all the way down to the darkest, deepest, most violent parts of you, and realize that you're not nice at all, then those parts own you. They fucking own you. You are their slave. So as a nice guy, you are the slave of violence. You are the slave of darkness. You are the slave of these things because you have no concept of how to be in dominion over that spectrum of life. Life is a spectrum, and there you have all of these different experiences, these different emotions, these different life circumstances that can open up. And if you don't have dominion over this particular spectrum that you happen to be in, I typically talk about the red part of the spectrum. If you don't have dominion over that, it will hunt you down. Like Perry in The Fisher King. I love to talk about that movie by Terry Gilliam because it's so good. Robin Williams in just a stunning role. Beautiful, beautiful. If you haven't watched it, then watch it. Watch it, please. And I don't know, maybe the comments aren't working here. So if you have been posting comments, I haven't seen any here. But if you have, they're not popping up here on StreamYard right now. So apologies if I'm not responding. But let's go to the next one. Vulnerable to cults and cult-like thinking. I've done a bit of a deep dive into a podcast over the last several days called Conspirituality. It's an interesting one. It's 3 guys that are gathering to dish out criticism and ridicule of the people that they consider to be some sort of messianic influencer archetype. I know what they're talking about. Hell, maybe they would even call me one of them. I know what they're talking about. And I noticed something interesting. The further into the sequence of shows that I was listening, the more these guys became cruel. They became cruel, and their thinking became cult-like, even though they were criticizing cults. Realize here we have some dissociated white knight nice guys who have no concept of their capacity for violence and have to project it outside of themselves in order to reckon with what they have not owned within themselves. This particular podcast has some value in it, but I see again the price that men pay for not reckoning with what lives inside of them. This nice guy behavior where you become vicious as fuck and you attack everyone who is comfortable in the spectrum of life that I am not. See? So I was disappointed. I had some hopes for this podcast, and some of the it's interesting. It's interesting because I'm listening to this particular podcast, and when one man is on his own, he seems well reasoned. He seems, it has a one-on-one conversation or whatever. It seems pretty good, and then it comes together with the other two, and they become cult-like. Something happening when several people who are in denial about their capacity for destruction, that have to collectively project onto an other. This is how we create war. See? This is how we create war. And so many of us men, we become vulnerable to this sort of streamlined thinking where I don't need to take responsibility for the darkness that lives deep inside of my heart and soul. I can outsource it to some sort of template belief system, some sort of template behavior, even a template method. I was speaking earlier this week in a post on Facebook about the dangers of, or was it last week? I don't remember now. The dangers of using pattern communication techniques to police others, whether it's nonviolent communication or some sort of authentic relating modality. I'm not criticizing the modalities as such, just so you know. But when you're a nice guy and you just find one of these things and it starts to feel like you're a little bit more safe in the world, then you're going to use these things to police others. And you're going to bat them over the head saying, you're not speaking authentically, speak differently, and being completely violent in the process. Cult-like in the process, but thinking that I'm the good one, I'm the noble one, because I'm a nice guy, so I am completely unaware. That was number 5. Number 6 is unlived life. And as I mentioned this, I'm like, it hurts a little in my heart, because I think of all of the things that I could have done that I didn't because I was a nice guy. All of the hot adventures I could have had with women in the early parts of my life when I was still too timid. That could be one thing, all of the business opportunities that I didn't launch onto because on some level I was feeling like I had to have more perfect circumstances. It had to feel right. It had to feel easy, effortless. Nice guys sit on the sidelines of life. They sit on the fence and they say, oh, I don't think it's the right time yet. And they're 60 years old, 70 years old. No, I don't think it's the right time yet. I'm like, so when? Are you going to take the full brunt of your self-betrayal on your deathbed? Or are you going to start moving towards a life well lived? See? It's hard to take this conversation with myself, with yourself, with ourselves. But this is the conversation that I need to have with myself if I'm going to come to the door, the threshold of death sometime hopefully in the somewhat distant future, some years down the line, and to have some level of peace with myself. I will have to fucking live. I need to be alive. And being afraid to live is being afraid to die. And being afraid to die is being afraid to live. Nice guys sit on the sidelines of life and say, it's not the right time. It's not the right time. When is it going to be the right time? Last one. I need a little bit of water. And I see there's a comment here that I'll address pretty soon. Thank you for contributing. The last one is naivete. That is to say, I have no understanding of what lives inside of me, makes nice guys vulnerable to evil. So let's end with a big one. Say that we were actually living in a world right now where tyranny is actually on the rise. You may or you may not agree with this statement. If you don't agree with this statement, you're maybe a nice guy. Whatever the case, when we see more authoritarian grabs by corporations, by politicians, who do you think are their allies? It's the nice guys. Because nice guys, they can't take confrontation. They can't take being a little bit different. They can't take being the odd one out. They need to belong to the consensus reality. They need everyone to think and feel good things about them. Which, by the way, if you don't have enemies, it's a sign that you're not living. It's a sign that you're betraying yourself if you don't have enemies. And as you are basically afraid, as a nice guy, you're anxious, you're depressed, you're seeking for some kind of meaning, right? You want to have significance. Where do you find that? You find it in groups. You find it in hive minds, where everyone thinks the same as the cult. And you try and excel within the hive mind. I remember a movie that we watched in high school. It was called The Wave. It was, I think it was a kind of a documentary, or was it? I think no, actually, it was a drama of some kind where was a reenactment of an experiment a teacher did. I don't remember where it was, but it was an experiment where the teacher did, where he wanted to answer the questions that his students had about how was it possible for the Germans to start following somebody like Hitler. And so he starts, this experiment where you have various rules and you have various ways to climb the hierarchies and so on and so forth. And I remember so well that some of the most inconspicuous, to use, the language of high school, the losers were all of a sudden the winners. The nicer you are, the better of a soldier you will be for the strong man who wants to take over the world. Because your immune system has no built-in ramparts against his tyranny. Your psyche, your soul, your spirit just wants to belong, to be part of the flock. Because you're safe there. You don't need a backbone there. And this is how nice guys actually become soldiers. Soldiers that are assimilated in the forces of the dark side. We don't speak about this in culture because our culture is stupid. But this is so important right now, that if you're a nice guy and if you think that you're being a nice guy is somehow helping the world become better, you are so fucking far out in the fields picking flowers that you have to wake up now. Like, you have to wake up now. In the work of, what are they called? Let me check. Media. And the Fourth Turning by William Strauss and Neil Howe talks about how the development of American culture or civilization has been moving in these 80-year cycles. Within each of these cycles, you have 20 or 2-decade-long periods. And if they're right, we are right in the middle of the last one. And that is the cycle of crisis. It's the cycle of dissolution. It is the cycle where everything is falling apart. And it's like the seasons of nature, which is to say that we're in winter now. Things are dying, and they're supposed to be dying. Yeah? They're supposed to be dying. But when spring comes around, you will still be here with your conscience to live with. And also with having to reckon with what part did you play in the fourth turning, which is the fourth cycle, the fourth turning. And so when people think that like things are about to return to normal, well, there is no part of my intuition or my sense-making apparatus that thinks that's possible. And also all the powers that be say that is not supposed to return to normal. Plus the fourth turning theory says it's not about to return to normal, which is to say stress levels may increase for a couple of years still, which is to say being a nice guy is going to be more dangerous than it's been since pre-World War II. The man who is consciously powerful has done the work to reclaim his power. He's going to be way safer. The man that is currently being criticized by politically correct culture is the man that is going to be safe moving forwards. The politically correct nice guy, he's going to be doing the bidding of the dark side. So just consider this. If there is indeed a fourth turning where there are forces that are about to clash, I think that there's 500 years of precedence, and this is American history, but America, you know, everything that happens in America just bleeds into the rest of the world. And so I'm just pleading with you, man, stop sitting on that fucking fence. Stop saying it's not the right time. If it's not the right time in the fourth turning, then when will it be? Okay, that's what I have. I'm going to read these. So the first message is here. Hi, Ivan. How dare you know my struggles? I see your projections. I'm letting in most of them because those parts of me are reaching out and grabbing your words. I don't get to see these parts of me, but we'll have a talk with them, me, and come to through a collaboration, connection, and compassion, I have a place to start. I keep dragging the starting line with me. That is my work. These are my judgments and are about me. Thank you for being a gift. Love, Andy. I wasn't super clear on what that message actually communicated, but thank you, Andy. Amy writes, not a nice guy here, but I'm glad to listen and sad to say that I know too many nice guys. Yeah. See, this is the story of women nice guys. They don't like it. They don't like nice guys. They just don't. You think they like it, but they don't. Please know that women had enough of the nice guys, and there you go. And they would express much more of the inside if the guys would embody their yang side balance. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. There's a little bit of fire for you today. I hope you got some value from it. If there's something that I or we can do for you in reclaiming your throne, just don't hesitate to reach out. Whatever you do, start working towards putting the nice guy behind you for good, because he ain't no good. Okay? I'll see you again soon. Have a good day.